Hi, welcome back to another episode of Justlivin Designs podcast. My name is Shannon, Justlivin Designs. I come to you from Montana, and yeah, yesterday was a day, so I'll get a little bit more into life stuff, but we were up late last night because we went to a musical, Hadestown, and it was absolutely fantastic. I'll talk about it more in life stuff, but because of that, we got home pretty late. And, you know, everybody gets up early in the morning to go to school. So I'm running on 5 hours of sleep, guys. I am adding in this little blurb because I forgot to mention it at the top of the video. So I'm going to insert it here before I get into all the things. I am thinking about doing Vlogmas this year. And I talked to you more about it at the very end of the video. So if you want to hear the whole spiel at the end, you know, either watch the whole video or skip ahead to the end, talking about Vlogmas, but I might do Vlogmas in December. I want to know what you guys think. There's a community tab on my channel page that I have a poll if you want to go in and do that, or you can just leave a comment down below. Should I do Vlogmas? Do you guys like Vlogmas? If I do Vlogmas, I probably won't do the every 2 weeks podcast, but you'd have a video every day in December leading up to Christmas. Let me know. All right. Back to your regularly scheduled programming. All right, what else? We'll get right into this thing. First, I'll talk about, this is my podcast, my podcast where I talk about my knitting and or crocheting. I'm not showing any crocheting today, just knitting. I am a designer. Some of the projects that I work on might be my designs. Some of the things that I'm wearing might be my designs, but I do knit a lot of other people's patterns, and I like to showcase those patterns and yarns that I use and all that stuff. So that's why I'm doing this, just to kind of get everything into the community. It's like a normal knitting podcast. I'll talk about what I'm wearing, what I'm knitting, finished objects, any things that it came in the mail, acquisitions or store-bought, reading, watching, and like stuff at the end. So yeah. We'll get right into what I'm wearing. My hat is one of my designs. This is Toasted Mallow. I designed this 4 years ago, and this is a local yarn dyer. I don't know how much they have this type of yarn anymore. They usually do self-striping. This is Two Sisters Yarn Co. And they usually do self-striping, but this was their DK base, and it's in a very lightly speckled called Toasted Marshmallow. And I knit this beanie. I think there's, might be 4 sizes, 3 or 4 sizes. I can't remember. But like I said, I did the adult small, DK weight hat pattern with a nice texture. Looks good with or without a palm. This one I did with a palm. I've had some people that have knitted that did without a palm. Looks just as good without. Sweater I'm wearing, oldie but a goodie, the Carbeth by Kate Davies. This one I knit years and years ago. I used to work at a local yarn shop that no longer is around, and they carried Brooklyn Tweed, and so this is in Brooklyn Tweed Quarry in the Hematite colorway, and I believe this is the size 1, and I knit it a little bit longer because I don't like things too cropped, but this is a lovely quick knit because it's giant gauge. I think it's meant for like DK help double, but bulky works as well. And yeah, very quick. It's knit from the bottom up, and it has these very, I mean, if you've never seen this sweater before, it's a very deep raglan that makes this beautiful detail. I don't know how well you can see it on the camera because this is such a dark knit. But yeah, it's like a very dark, maroony black tweed yarn. It's not a normal color for me, but I like it. Yeah, so that's what I'm wearing right now. It's been cold. I think we're probably in the, I didn't look at the temperature this morning, but it's been in the 20s in the mornings lately, so it's been chilly. Had a little bit of snow so far. We had snow a few weeks ago at night, and then earlier this week. Oh, which reminds me, date. It's Thursday, November 21st, just about a little before 9 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, earlier this week we had snow during the day and it was beautiful big flakes. Nothing like stuck or anything, but it was really pretty. But it was kind of breezy too, so it was just like blowing in giant flakes. What else? I think that's about it. I'll get right into the knitting content. I have finished 2 objects and I have 2 whips to talk about. So this one you've seen before. This is the Musselburgh hat by Isolde de Teague. I made this for a Christmas present, so I wanted to get it done. This one was, the yarn was the Creative Knitter Creative Sock, which it didn't pop up on Ravelry. It's a thin 100% superwash yarn. There was like it was a lot of yardage on it, so I didn't use as much of the yarn up to make this hat as I normally do. It is the adult medium size, I believe. All the details will be linked down below of how much yarn I used in my project page and what size I knit and what size needles I knit, everything at. But yeah, so this is the tubed hat where it's a really long tube. You shove it in on side itself. I always make them long enough so they have a decent cuff. This one also, well, I can switch hats out. This one also has enough to have a little bit of a slouch if you want, or you can, you know, really brim it up and make it more of a beanie if you don't want any slouch. But it's nice and cozy for going on walks and whatnots and keeping out wind, because it's a decently tight gauge. It's not crazy. It's not as tight as socks. But yeah, there's a closer picture of the colorway. Yeah, so gift knit done. Yay. And then last episode, I talked about that I didn't have any socks currently on the needles and that I was probably going to cast on some because I got some Christmas socks to knit up and stuff. And the first pair that I decided to knit up was this pair. And this is Woolens and Nosh 2022 Advent. So generally speaking, for my size of socks, which I'm a 8.5 women's, I can knit 50 gram skein of sock yarn if I have contrast heels, toes, and cuffs. And so this was 100 grams. And she, I don't think now she had the option to buy an extra mini. I can't remember. But back when she was selling these, you could buy an extra mini. And so I knit them back in 2022, the original Advent within the month of December and all that stuff. And I had bought an extra mini knowing that I would have enough yarn to make another pair. So this is the second pair. These will be for my daughter. She likes ribbed socks. Mine that I originally knit are just stockinette. And I knit this with my Shadow Wrap Heel 2 Ways sock pattern, which is one of my most popular patterns, probably because people do like the Shadow Wrap. And my Shadow Wrap Heel 2 Ways sock pattern has 9 sizes. And you have instructions for both top down and toe up. That's why it's 2 ways. These were knit toe up because I knew, like, my daughter has the same foot size as me, so I knew exactly kind of where I needed to do the division. But it's just, I prefer to just start at toe up if I'm working with a limited number of grams, so I don't run out of yarn. But yeah. And then also that way you're not going to run out up here either. Like the toe has to be a certain amount, you know, whereas the cuff you can stop whenever. So I kind of like doing toe up when you have a limited amount that you're working with. But these are lovely. I love Michelle's yarn. I love her color sense and everything. But this base is the Targhee sock, which is 90% Targhee, 10% nylon, and it is like woolly but not scratchy woolly. It's just cushy. It's one of the more it's the warmest fingering weight sock base that I've come across. When I'm really chilly, these are the socks I gravitate towards. So yeah. There's that and that. So those are my two finished objects. I'll go on to whips. I only have 2 to show this week because I haven't put a ton of work on my blankets because I have been buckling down on one project to get it done before Christmas, and that is my Yule Dew sweater in the Hide and Hammer 03 bag. This is Yule Dew by Isabel Kramer. You've seen it the last few episodes. It's a beautiful fingering weight colorwork yoke that is very festive. And since last time I was here, I finished off the body and did a Turkish sewn bind off, or not Turkish sewn, Italian sewn bind off, which is kind of similar to a tubular bind off. It just doesn't have the setup rounds. And then I picked up and I have started one sleeve. And yep, just working down the sleeve. I am almost done with another ball of yarn. So far I've gone through about 2 balls of the main color, which is Sonder Yarns, Sunday Morning 4-ply in offline. And then the color work up here is Brooklyn Tweed Loft in, is it Bird Book? It is, yep, Bird Book is the green. Yep, just knitting away. That will be done. I'm sure I'll get it done before Christmas. Oh, I forgot something. I am gonna have to pause it real quick. Okay, I'm back. I forgot to grab my next whip. Like I said, 5 hours sleep, guys. My next whip is Living in a Bag by the Fat Squirrel Fibers. I bought it last year. Cute little Santa gnomes in a forest. Take a sip of tea. My husband and I, before 8 o'clock, I think we went through our pot of coffee already. And sometimes I'll make a second pot. But since I was coming up to podcast shortly, I was like, I'll just make myself a cup of black tea. So this is Harney and Sons. What is it? Hot cinnamon sunset, something like that. Delightful. All right. So this is a pair of Christmas socks for my husband. Originally, earlier this week, I cast on a pair of socks. It was yarn that I bought, I think last year. It was from a Whimsical Wood yarns, and it was her like Cousin Eddie's colorway called Euceris Clark. It just was, the way it's dyed, it should either, like, it probably won't microstripe, but it will fleck and it should move around. It was being very localized with my gauge and my stitch count for my husband's socks. It was not moving around the sock. So there was just like a blip of color here, and then the rest of the sock was plain. And I wasn't enjoying that. So I'm gonna try to knit that yarn up again on a smaller stitch count that would fit either me or my daughter or my son. But just not my husband's size. So then this yarn I had bought, my yarns are all twisty. This yarn I bought years ago, thinking about making socks for my husband as well because he likes this movie. This is yarn. All right, I'm getting there, guys. Trust me. From Lollipop Yarn. She is no longer dyeing, but this is Island of Mismatched Socks, and it came in. She was known for doing like gobstopper balls because Lollipop Yarns. And she'd generally a lot of times sell it with a mini, and it would come in a like pre-balled up, the mini and the main. This one had 2 mains, like 2 50-gram mains, and then 2 10-ish grams minis, because the thing of it was there was 2. So here's the 2 balls. One is a little bit more red, so it's a little heavier on the red stripes, and this one's a little heavier on the green stripes. And then it came, so they're not quite the same. And then it came with 2 minis, a green and a red. And so I think she meant for you to use like This one's the more red, the green contrast, and that's what I'm doing. The green contrast with the one that has a little more red, and the red contrast with the one that has a little bit more green. And I decided to knit up both socks kind of in tandem because I wanted to see the difference between the two, and I think it's fun. So here's the two socks so far. And I really am enjoying these. I am a little bummed that they're going to be for my husband, but at the same time, he likes the crazy socks, and these are quite crazy and lovely, and I think he will enjoy them. So I am using my Good Heel for Self-Striping Socks pattern, GHFSS, if you're looking for it on Ravelry. It is a pattern that's good for self-striping socks. It has a heel flap and gusset, but then the heel turn is a square turn that makes it better for a shorter gusset. So you don't disrupt your stripes as much, especially when you have some of these smaller stripes like this in here. Like some of these are like not even a full round because of the stitch count that I'm using. It should help out with that a lot more. And he prefers the fit of a heel flap and gusset as opposed to any other type of heel. So yeah, I've got a little ways to go on the legs, and then I'll put in the heel flap and gusset. And it just depends on, you know, I did the cuff for about not quite 2 inches. And it just depends on how much yarn I have left after the heel flap and gusset, if I'm going to use the contrast for the toes, or if I'm just going to use the self-striping in the toes. Again, it will just depend on how much I think I have left to do. These minis were a little heavy. I think they're about 13 grams instead of 10. So I should have enough, I think, to make it all the way through. But yeah, so that is my one and only sock whip right now. And it will probably be, oh, get the tag back in there. It'll probably be done here by the end of the month, I'm sure. Just because it is fun to work on socks. Sometimes I get myself like into a sock mode and I just kind of work on socks and that's about it. But like I said, I'm trying to get that sweater done as well. So I'm putting in a lot of my daytime knitting if I'm not doing work knitting on my sweater. And then at night, I might pick up the socks. All right, so I do have a couple acquisitions because yarn dyers have started to put out their Christmassy type yarn. I love festive yarn, I love festive socks. So I purchased some and they have come in the mail. So the first one was from Moonglow. She releases collections and sock sets whenever, you know, a lot of times seasonally. She does a lot of like doodle stuff with the doodle decks and Pacific Knit Co. type designs. And a lot of times they're released with that. But I got 2 sock sets. One's an older one, I think. She's had this one before. It's the Frosted Forest sock set. So this one came with a 100 gram main color and 3 20-gram minis. Might be a design, might just be fun to play with. And then this one was the new colorway for this year. And you guys know I love my brown, so I couldn't stop myself. This is Cozy Christmas sock set. 150 grams total, so it's 100 gram of the main and then 5 10-gram minis. And again, it might be a design, might just be something to play with. I haven't decided yet, but she's pretty close of a dyer to me. She lives down in Gillette, Wyoming, which is only, what, 3-ish hours away? I think 3.5. It's not too far. When the grand scheme of things, when you're living in Montana, not too far is a few hours away. So like my other, like there's only one local yarn shop here in town. My other local yarn shop is in a town that's 2 hours away. So it's just kind of funny, but yes, I love these. She only really does tonals. She does a lot of these sock sets. I've designed with her sock sets. Have I designed one? Can't remember if I designed with one or not. in the past. I have a pattern that would work really well with her sock set. My You Belong cowl and mitts would work really well because that's designed with like 100-gram skein and 5 10-gram minis. So that would work really well to get a cowl and a pair of fingerless mitts out of one of these types of sock sets. Can't remember if I actually designed out of one of these or not. Oh yeah, I did. I designed my Shermer socks. I did one of the pairs that has like not the striping on the foot and only the striping up on the leg in case people don't like texture and stuff like that on their foot, or if they don't have as much yarn. It's a good way to use scrappy ones. But yeah, my Shermer socks I did in a Christmas colorway, not last year, 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, so I did design with this before. Anyways, and then the other yarn that I purchased was Legacy Fiber Arts came out with their, they always do a different movie usually theme, but sometimes it's not movie, for their holiday releases. And this year they did Home Alone. And so I got a skein of just the straight up Home Alone on their steel toes, which is a 75/25 super wash merino nylon. And then I got a micro skein set that is Merry Christmas Kevin. And this is, so it's a 50-gram main and a 20-gram mini. Like I said, this is enough to make a pair of socks for me or my daughter or my son. So just not my husband. He's got bigger feet. My son doesn't have bigger feet yet because he's 12. And he's not, he hasn't hit that like huge growth spurt yet. Once that happens, I'm sure he'll be like in much bigger shoes much faster. So we'll see. All right. I think that's all for the knitting and or yarny things. I'm going to go to reading, watching, and then life stuff. And life stuff is big. Like I said, it's been a day. It's been 2 weeks, but it's been yesterday was a day. So stick around for life stuff if you want to hear my day. Reading. I am still reading the same 2 books. I'm reading Dune from the Libby app from my library. I have been continuing to renew it, and I've only had to wait a day between getting it, so it's been working out all right. I think I only have like 3 hours left, so that will hopefully be finished before it's due. I think it's due in like 3 or 4 days. I should get it done. That is the classic sci-fi novel from Frank Herbert. And then I am reading at night generally. Sometimes I'll read during the day if I don't know what else to do, but usually I'm knitting. I do have a book stand that I can read and knit if it's simple knitting. I'm reading The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I know last time I had just started it and I said I was like kind of hard to wrap into. I am really into it now. I understand how the writer is writing. It basically follows like a pair of characters every chapter and then you jump back to the next one. I'm not 100% sure on the timeline of things, if everything's going on at the same time or different times. I haven't been purview to that at all. There's nothing that's telling me it's all like happening at the same time. So I don't know. I'm enjoying the individual storylines of each of the characters, I guess, so far. And I assume this is a trilogy. I assume at some point they will come together, but I don't know. But I'm enjoying it. It's a like dystopian future type novel. It's quite interesting, and I am enjoying that now. I'm like, what, maybe 30% done with the book. Yeah, watching. So still watching NFL football. The Broncos split the difference again. They should have won, not this last Saturday, but the Saturday before they played the Chiefs. They should have won that game. They were kicking the field goal to win the game, and it got blocked without like it. I mean, the Chiefs have been so freaking lucky this year. But they should have beat them. They should have had their first loss to the Broncos 2 weeks ago, but they had it this last week, so I'm happy. And then the Broncos kicked butt in the game this last Sunday. And so, yeah, they split the difference again. So they're still kind of in middle of the road, but they are doing better than I thought they would with, it's a transition year. my husband, son, and I all watched Scream 2 together because he had watched Scream not that long ago, so we watched Scream 2 when my daughter wasn't around. I'm still watching The Walking Dead. I can't remember what season I'm on. 7 or 8. And then Taskmaster, so watching that on YouTube along with podcasts and stuff. And then my son the other day, we were clicking through one of our streaming services and he was like, migration. I've seen some videos about migration. That's like the DreamWorks movie. And so we watched that. That was horrible. He said it was horrible too, so not a good one. But yeah, that's basically it for watching life stuff. Now, like I said, life has been big. So 2 Saturdays ago, so right after my last podcast, there was a local speech and debate tournament. It was the kickoff tournament in town. It was only a 1-day tournament. And my husband and I had to judge for that. My husband was there all day. I was there for the morning. I was supposed to work concessions the second half of the day. I ended up not going back to the school because my son came home from school on Friday, very not feeling well. Saturday, really not feeling well. When I came home after my 2 rounds to check on him, he hadn't really been eating or drinking or anything, and his fever hadn't like risen to the point where I needed to treat it again when I got home, but it did again while I was home. And so I stayed home and just was like, I need to take care of the boy. He's not taking care of himself. So he ended up having strep throat. So antibiotics, all that stuff. Nobody else got sick in the house. What else? Yeah, so that was that weekend essentially. And then the next week, my husband went on a work trip. So last week he was away for most of the week, like 3 days. I think he left Monday, got home Thursday. And he was down in Denver. He's an electrical engineer and he had some projects to go into substations for and stuff, doing site visits. So he was gone for most of the week last week. And then my daughter had a speech and debate tournament on Friday and Saturday last week in Missoula. Missoula is 5 hours away, regular drive time, but when you're in a big bus, it's longer. So they left. They had to be at school before, like by 6:30 on Friday morning. And I think they were planning on leaving town by 7. I don't know if they got out of town by 7. Because the tournament usually starts like shortly after school. It lets out at whatever hometown they're in. And they like to get there, eat lunch, check into a hotel, change, because most of them, need to change and stuff, because who wants to sit on a bus for 6-7 hours in your dress outfits, your professional attire. Anyway, so long story short, she got home. I don't think they left Missoula until close to 10 o'clock Saturday night. So she didn't get home until just before 4 in the morning on Sunday morning. So yeah, she slept a lot Sunday and then had to get up and do homework because she missed like a whole day of school, plus the homework from Thursday because she didn't do it Thursday night. Because she had like a team dinner thing or something. I don't know. But anyways, lots of homework. So that was the weekend, essentially. And then yesterday, so Wednesday, she went down to the DMV with my husband and took her driving test and got her driver's license. So she took driver's ed back this summer. And in our state, you have to be on a learner's permit, wait at least 6 months before you can get your restricted license. And you also have to have like 50 hours of drive time with your parents or something to that effect. And so it was about right at 6 months that we got her in there to get her driver's license. And so she drove today to school because she has a thing after school that she has to drive to, and she's driving a friend with her because she can have one passenger in the car. And then she's going to drive that friend home, I think, afterwards. So it's just been, I'm a little on edge, but that's okay. It's just that whole letting your bird fly type thing. It's just hard to do. She's my oldest. And then yesterday, like I said, we went to Hadestown last night. So recently our theater in town, our big theater, Alberta Bear, has been getting, last couple of years, some of the traveling Broadway shows. I almost got tickets to Mean Girls last year and then wasn't sure about the timing of things because it was going to be me and my daughter, because my husband wasn't as interested in that and my son really wasn't. But it was just going to be me and my daughter. But with her schedule, I ended up not getting tickets to that one. But this summer, I don't remember when they released what was coming to town this year, but whenever that came out, I got an email, and Hadestown was one of them. And both of my kids love Greek mythology. My daughter loves musicals. And I was like, well, this is just right up our alley. And so I didn't know too much about it. I knew what story they were doing, which I know that Greek story. And yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. So we bought the tickets this last summer. And then I guess they ended up, it was originally only supposed to be one night show, but they shortly after they opened up the sale for the tickets, it sold out pretty quickly. So they were able to snag another night from the touring production company. And so they had the one showing on Tuesday night, and then the original showing that was only supposed to be the one showing was last night. It's a 2.5 hour musical. It started at 7:30. We didn't get home until sometime after 10:30, I think, because it's all the way downtown and traffic and everything. But yeah, it was really good. It was fantastic. My daughter has listened to the original Broadway soundtrack a little bit, and she said the singers that performed at ours, I liked ours better. And they were absolutely incredible. The cast worked so well together. It was an amazing production. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was good. Very, very good. That's all I'm happy we went. Very, very happy. But yeah, so that was the big thing yesterday. Like, that's why I'm kind of like blah today. And then also the fact that my daughter's driving without parental eyes in the car. So that is, yeah, big life things. Anyways, yeah, I think that's about everything. Oh, I totally forgot. I was going to, maybe I'll put a little blurb at the beginning of this video. But I had put up on my Instagram a little question on, I was contemplating doing Vlogmas this year. I've never done Vlogmas before, but I do enjoy watching Vlogmases. I don't know if my life is very exciting. But if you guys like watching Vlogmas videos where it's like a short video every day, I probably wouldn't do these sit-down podcasts during the month of December if I'm dealing with editing a video every day. I don't know if I really want to edit a long video as well. But I will have like an Advent sock from Woolens and Nosh that I work on every day. There's some Advents for my kids and my husband that they'll be doing every day. There's, I'm doing the Christmas mystery knit along from the Imagine Landscapes, the gnome. I'm going to be doing that throughout the month of December. So I do have some like knitting specific content, and then, you know, just like hopefully you can see my sweater get done and some other stuff like that. Plus my daily life, which is pretty dang boring, but dog walking, you can see my dogs. I probably won't have like my children's faces in the video just because it's up to them if they want to be on camera or not. But yeah, so let me know if you like that. There is, I did put a poll on the community tab on my YouTube page. So if you go to my YouTube like channel page, there's that, there's a bunch of tabs at the top, and there's a community tab. And I did put a poll. If you guys, so far I only have one vote on that. I did have the poll I did on Instagram. I had, I think 11 votes. 10 people said yes, one person said no. So it seems like, at least over on Instagram, people say, yeah, go for it. I don't know about you actual YouTube viewers, how much of you guys would like something like that. But yeah, either leave a comment down below or let me know in that poll if you'd like a Vlogmas. Yeah. Anyways, I think that's about everything. I hope you guys have a good next 2 weeks. I hope you had a good last 2 weeks, and I will see you in December. Thanksgiving's coming up next week. I can't believe it. I can't believe we're already into the holiday season. It's just crazy. Anyways, bye. See you in 2 weeks. Or see you on the 1st of December if I do Vlogmas. Oh, who knows? I might not be here in 2 weeks. If I do Vlogmas, I won't be here in 2 weeks. I'll be here in like a week. All right, bye.